G'day everyone, Brian here. Romans chapter 12 verse 1 is a verse that should be in our minds always. Here's how the NIV translates it. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Now, nearly every word can lead us to somewhere else in the Bible. Yesterday I talked about the therefore, and that takes us back to the first 11 chapters. In view of God's mercy, that's a statement that also takes us back to the first 11 chapters. And there you'll be amazed to see the mercy of God, not to people who deserve it, because then it's not mercy, but to people who truly don't deserve it. No one is righteous, not even one, and yet God shows His mercy to people like you and me, and people like your friends. God's mercy is shown to them. He writes to brothers and sisters. Here's a family expression, and so he's writing to people who aren't out there, but people who are in here, in your heart. And as we read the rest of chapter 12, we recognize that this is for the body, the brothers and sisters, the family, the church. This is how we should live. This is how we should act. In view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. Well, friends, someone once said that the problem with living sacrifices is that they tend to crawl off the altar. And the thought of sacrifices is probably something that we struggle with as far as being offered on an altar. It would have made much more sense to the people who first read this. But the aspect of making sacrifices is still clear to us. Last week was the anniversary of 75 years since the end of World War II. And in that we recognise the great sacrifices people make and have made. You will know people who have made great sacrifices for their family, for their work. Probably you know some who have made them for their church too. But to offer our bodies as living, holy and pleasing to God, that this is your spiritual and your reasonable and your rational act of worship. Someone said, if I was a nightingale, I would do what was reasonable for a nightingale. If I was a swan, I would do what was reasonable for a swan. But because I am a man, I will do what is rational for a man. And my rationality leads me to worship God. Well, friends, I hope that you will offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. The Lord bless you today. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Amen.